Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be breaking down the Week 18 NFL football games. Last week, we had a really good week before doing okay on the last Sunday night games. We finished with 10 wins and 7 losses. This puts our total record at 81 and 72.5. But we had such huge wins that we are now up 20.96 units. Freiermuth has been crushing it for us and won us this week another touchdown bet, and Bateman got in the end zone as well for a big bet. But now it's playoff time and we got a bunch of bets we are looking to play. In this video, I'll break down my opinion on the game, my bets, and some insights. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss more sports bets and news. The 2025 NFL Wildcard weekend kicks off in Texas as C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans face off against Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers this Saturday. The Texans secured the AFC South title with a 10-7 record. Meanwhile, Justin Herbert and the Chargers finished 11-6, riding a 3-game winning streak to claim second place in the AFC West, just behind the Kansas City Chiefs. The Los Angeles are a 3-point favorite with the over set at 42.5 total points. The Chargers are also the moneyline favorite at minus 161, while the Texans are listed at plus 135. So it seems like everyone and their mother is playing the Chargers here, and that makes me hesitant. And let's be honest, the Texans haven't looked great lately, and that's largely because they didn't have much on the line and decided to rest starters last week. But ever since the Christmas game, they clinched their division and were always long shots in getting the 3 seed. And after the Ravens game that was pretty much confirmed, the Chargers, on the other hand, seem to have found their groove, winning 3 straight and looking more cohesive as a team. Justin Herbert has been sharp, and their offense is clicking, but there's always the question of how much that momentum will matter when facing a team like Houston, who could come in refreshed and ready to surprise. Harbaugh is going to want to run the ball a lot, which also will speed up the game. As for the game side, I lean on taking the 3 points with the Texans, but I really like the under 42.5 points. That will be our first official bet, under 42.5. Now let's talk about props. The Texans play a little more man coverage than most teams, and I think they're going to play a lot of man coverage in this game. They're going to force the wideouts of the Chargers to beat them, and I think that is going to lead a lot of rushes from Justin Herbert. I'll take his over his rushing yards of 25 yards at play 135. Next, I am looking at Los Angeles Chargers rookie wide receiver Ladd McConkey has had a phenomenal debut season. Building strong chemistry with quarterback Justin Herbert, McConkey tallied 82 receptions and 7 touchdowns during the regular season. He's been remarkably consistent, recording 5+ catches in each of his last 8 games. In the red zone, McConkey has been clutch, catching 7 of his 8 targets, including 2 touchdown grabs in Week 17 against New England. I like his chances of scoring a touchdown this week when the Texans. As for the Texans, if they want to win this game, they need to establish the run game. They need to get Joe Mixon rolling. The good news is, he had basically a bye game last week, and against the Ravens, he had just 9 rushes. That is just 14 rushes in almost 3 weeks, meaning he is going to be fresh. I think Mixon gets fed a lot in this game, and I went back and forth with either his attempts or yards prop. The Chargers' rushing defense is good, but they struggle against teams with good and great offensive lines. The Ravens ran all over them, the Steelers ran well, the Bucs ran all over them. The Texans have a decent run game, and since I think this game is going to be close, that would mean Joe should get plenty of touches. If you think it will be a blowout or the Chargers will get a commanding lead, then this bet won't interest you. But I think this is a tight game, and I can see Mixon getting 20+ touches, so I will take his over rushing yards at 70.5 yards. Now, for the night game we got, the Steelers are at the Ravens. The 2 teams split their regular season meetings. Pittsburgh narrowly defeated Baltimore 18-16 in Week 11, capitalizing on 3 Ravens turnovers and 2 missed field goals by Justin Tucker. Baltimore responded in Week 16 with a dominant performance, scoring 17 unanswered points, to secure a 34-17 victory. That win was part of a 4-game streak that propelled the Ravens into the playoffs, while the Steelers stumbled in as one of only 3 teams in NFL history to reach the postseason on a 4-game losing streak. The line is big, with the Ravens giving 9.5 points, and the over and under set at 43.5 points. This game, I also am leaning towards the under, but I'm not playing it. The Ravens have ruled out wide receiver Zay Flowers, which I think will hurt their passing attack, but there is a lot of ways I am playing this game. Now, line is big, but the Steelers have been struggling big time. They are 0-4 in their last 4 playoff games since 2017, and they have been just not synced. But with that being said, this is a divisional game, and usually these games fight between the Ravens and Steelers. Now, the real thing to ask you before you bet this is, how many points do you think the Ravens will score? Depending on that, it will change how you play this, because I do not see the Steelers scoring more than 20 points in this game. If you think the Ravens aren't going to completely melt down and fumble the ball and throw picks, then I would lay the points with the Ravens. If you think the Ravens are going to struggle like they sometimes have, I would take the points with the Steelers. So, now the Steelers are 2 different teams, really, when it comes to games on the road and at home. For example, at home, they score an average of 21.5 points and only give up 17.5. But on the road, they only score an average of 18 points and give up an average of 23. They are pretty much 2 different teams. Personally, I am staying away from the line, but I am leaning this game being close until about the 4th quarter, where the Ravens open it up and separate themselves. But how I'm playing this is by focusing on Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry torched the Steelers in the last game they played. He went for 162 rushing yards on 24 attempts, which is 6.8 yards a carry. And in their first matchup, he averaged 5 yards a carry, but the Ravens only gave him 13 attempts. Now, the Steelers, I think, are going to sell out and try and stop the run. No Zay Flowers, like we said above, and they will try and make the passing game beat them. However, I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to stop the run, even with stacking the box. Henry's line is set at 98.5 yards, however. But with that being said, I do not care. I'm taking his over. Now, my next play also plays in line with everything I said above. No Zay Flowers, a lot of Derrick Henry, and a lot of play-action passes. A lot of people will be playing Rashad Bateman as he steps into the clear number 1 receiver in this game, but the guy who I think is going to see the biggest benefit here is Isaiah Likely. Last week with no Zay, he had 5 targets. And he has done well against the Steelers this year with 104 yards and a touchdown in 2 games. But I think the game script will have likely on the field a lot. I think we see a lot of 12 personnel groupings with the Ravens running the ball and just dominating and tying the ground game. I'm taking Isaiah Likely over 40 receiving yards. Now, I also like Likely to score a touchdown here. I can see the play action pass at the 5 or 6 yard line with Likely being wide open. His prop is set at plus 275, so I'll be laying that as well. Now, when it comes to the red zone, the Ravens and Lamar love throwing to big Mark Andrews. His touchdown prop is set at plus 170, and I love it, so I'll be playing that. This play doesn't need much insight. Mark has scored a touchdown in his last 7 games. Now for the Steelers, my 2 plays for them are their team total under 17.5 points at minus 145. The Steelers have struggled offensively during their losing streak, and facing a Ravens defense that has been firing on all cylinders lately doesn't inspire much confidence. The Steelers' offense in this losing streak has not scored more than 17 points, and when they play on the road, their offense is not as good. And their defense is also not as good. And for Baltimore's defense, they have started to look dominant again. I mean, just take a look at this image. Since week 13, and when they moved Kyle Hamilton back to the safety position, the Ravens' defense has been the best in the league. Give me Steelers under 17.5 points. My next play for the Steelers is around Jaylen Warren. In Week 16 against Baltimore, Jaylen Warren logged his highest snap count of the season, participating in 67% of the Steelers' offensive plays. He carried the ball 12 times for 48 yards, and caught all 5 of his targets for an additional 44 receiving yards. While the Ravens boast one of the league's toughest run defenses, they've struggled against pass-catching running backs, allowing the 4th most receiving yards to the position this season. I also personally think Warren is the better all-around back, and the fact that he don't start from me is crazy. Projections for Warren in the wildcard round are encouraging. Nearly all rushing models project him to gain at least 40 yards, with a ceiling of 44, while his receiving projections range from 20 to 25.5 yards. I like his receiving prop here, and we'll be playing his over here at 20.5 yards. So, my favorite for Saturday wildcard game. And that is it for this week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more betting and sports news. See you in the next one.